What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new series from KeySmash Studios where I am going to play the Halo Combat Evolves campaign as a game designer, and we're going to talk about some of the game design elements that they used when they made the Halo Combat Evolves campaign as we play through it. If you haven't already, please go back and watch the Halo Reach campaign playthrough that we did when it came out on the Halo Master Chief Collection for PC. As always, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. It does help us out, and we're going to hop right into this. We open on the same scene that we saw at the end of the Reach. The Pillar of Autumn's coming in, and we see that Keyes and Cortana are here discussing that they didn't actually evade the Covenant. And we get some lore reasons why, but this is a very similar cutscene to the one that we saw at the end of Reach. The only difference is those 3 ships I don't think are there at the end of Reach.
Cortana, all I need to know is, did we lose them?
I think we both know the answer to that.
So it's worth noting while we play through this cutscene that this game was made in 2001, I think was when it was released. I might be off by a year, one way or the other, but
the Covenant ships have always been faster.
It's a fairly old game, so when we compare it to Reach, we see that game design has changed a lot, but also the hardware limitations of the time changed a lot. So there's a lot more options available to game designers and level designers, as well as model creators, that weren't available when they made the Halo Combat Evolved campaign. And while this is the updated graphics of Halo Combat Evolved, it's still a base game. The game was still designed for a certain set of hardware. So we have to keep that in mind as we play through it. It shouldn't really be a major issue.
And Cortana. Let's give our old friends a warm welcome.
I've already begun.
So, keep in mind that this is the first Halo game that came out, so we're going to get a little bit of a cinematic here that's introducing a lot of the vehicles in the game, some of the major characters. We just saw Cortana, Keyes, we're about to see Sergeant Johnson. We're seeing, how Warthogs drive, how they're set up. These are all intentional things that they're showing to you. You saw a Scorpion, you're going to get to ride one of those. You saw a Warthog and how people sit in it, you're going to get to ride one of those.
You heard the lady. Move like you got a purpose.
This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
Once again, it is our job to finish what the Flyboys started. We are leaving this ship platoon and engaging the Covenant on solid ground. When we meet the enemy, we will rip their skulls from their spines and toss them away, laughing. Am I right, Marines? Sir, yes, sir!
So there's our introduction to one of the more important characters of the Halo series.
All you greenhorns who wanted to see Covenant up close.
And then here we're gonna get sort of a tutorial-esque thing. But just keep in mind that at the time, a lot of the scaffolding of games was built in very directly, as opposed to being sort of an undertone that we saw a lot in Reach. In Halo, we're gonna get very direct, like, point at the player. Here's a tutorial you need to follow.
He's hot! Blowing the pins in 5!
So, a lot of the tips that we'll get are just put out on the screen. Press E to exit.
Sorry for the quick thaw, Master Chief. Things are a little hectic right now. The disorientation should pass quickly.
Welcome back, sir. We'll have you battle-ready stat.
So use mouse to look. These are things that they're just gonna up front tell you. This is sort of the time. A lot of games did this, partially because you didn't want to spend all the resources on a tutorial that you could then spend to exit. You could spend X amount of time or storage space on an actual other level or something like that.
I gave you a double dose of the wake-up stim. Take a quick walk around the cryo bay and join me at the optical diagnostics.
So WASD to move. They have this little tiny mini tutorial level, but like it's still pretty like stand here, look this way. You know, invert your look this way. It's not gonna be a huge subconscious thing that they do in a lot of games now, but back then this was fairly standard.
Sir, I'm getting some calibration errors. I'm going to invert your looking pitch, so you can see if you like it better that way. Try targeting the flashing lights again.
I cannot do inverted.
Is that better, or should I switch it back? Okay, try looking up and down again, please. Do you want me to leave it like that, or switch it again? Okay, I'll leave the pitch normal, but if you want, you can change it yourself later. I'm ready for the energy shield test now.
Please follow me to the energy shield test station.
Fire teams, report to defensive positions.
I wonder what that fire chamber, like who was that meant for? Maybe Noble Six?
Stand on the yellow square. This will just take a second. Okay, bring his energy shields online, please.
It's good to hear that iconic sound again. I know I just recently played Reach, but it's one of my favorite Foley sounds in any game. If you play the Halo Recharge sound to like almost any gamer, they will instantly know what it is. The Halo Empty Shield, and then it like recharges. Like it's one of the most iconic Foley sounds that there is. And by Foley sound, I mean it's a sound that is a sort of like a sound effect in a game.
Bridge to Cryo 2, this is Captain Key. Send the Master Chief to the bridge immediately.
Captain, we'll have to skip the weapons diagnostics.
On the double, crewman.
Aye, aye, sir. The skipper seems jumpy. We'd better get moving. We'll find you weapons later.
Okay, I'll leave the self-diagnostics running at least.
Good idea. You'd better get to your evac group, Sam.
Affirmative. I just have to reset the computer and I'm out of here. Oh, God.
Oh wait.
They're trying to get through the door.
I forget. This dude's about to get yeeted. Oh, big F.
We've got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, follow this dude directly. Straight into the blast. Can I get an F in the comment section for this guy? He taught me how to move and look. So, early on in Reach, we talked a lot about the illusion of choice and what that means for players. And so notice here, as we get close to things, we'll get like a crouch. It's still a little bit of the tutorial, but like they're just pretty much just telling you things rather than letting you figure it out. But early on in Reach, we talked about the illusion of choice. In Combat Evolved, there's not really an illusion of choice. You pretty much have one space to go, and that's what you get. Especially on the first few levels, you could argue it's a little bit of scaffolding, but it's also a little bit of hardware management, because there's only so much you can do with the original hardware of an Xbox. Can I get a weapon from these guys? No, that's right. Notice the blast doors closing. You're just sort of being introduced to some of the Covenant characters. It's a narrative design element where they're just slowly introducing you to the characters. So as we find Keys, we get a cutscene where we get Cortana.
Captain Keys.
Good to see you, Master Chief. Things aren't going well. Cortana did her best, but we never really had a chance.
A dozen Covenant superior battleships against a single Halcyon-class cruiser. With those odds, I'm content with 3, make that 4 kills. Sleep well?
No thanks to your driving, yes.
So
I always wondered how they knew each other prior to this, because Noble 6 drops her into the,
must have been one of their boarding
pillar right before
this jump. I guess an antimatter charge.
Bam! Fire control for the main cannon is offline!
Captain, the cannon was my last offensive option.
All right, then. I'm initiating Cold Protocol Article 2. We're abandoning the Autumn. That means you too, Cortana.
While you do what? Go down with the ship?
In a manner of speaking. The object we found, I'm gonna try and land the Autumn on it.
With all due respect, sir, this war has enough dead heroes.
I appreciate your concern, Cortana, but it's not up to me. Protocol is clear. Destruction or capture of a shipboard AI is absolutely unacceptable, and that means you're leaving ship. Lock in a selection of emergency landing zones, upload them to
So we see a little bit of a lore way to get Cortana to pair up with the Master Chief, right? From a narrative design standpoint, this game centers a lot around the Cortana and Chief dynamic as they go through a storyline. So we need a UNSC mandate that no AI can be destroyed or lost to the enemy, and that means that Cortana has to go with Chief. It's just a tool that they use to get Cortana paired up with Chief.
Excellent work
for the duration of the story.
Thank you. Are you ready?
Those good old animations.
Yank me.
Yikes. Every time I play an old game, I'm just blown away by how fast stuff changes.
Good luck, Master Chief.
Your architecture isn't much different from the Autumn's.
Don't get any funny ideas.
We get our first weapon. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, that's right, I have to walk out of this room first. Like I need any other gun in this game. Oh, actually, I'm pretty sure that the assault rifle is the best it's ever been in this game.
Those Marines could use some help, Chief. Do what you do best.
Do what I do best. Miss my shots. Oh. How did I miss that many beatdowns? Cortana really knows me well. But you can see, so this is sort of the way back from our original level. During that cutscene, they unloaded the original level and they loaded in this level. It's a clever way that they managed to sort of extend this quote-unquote playable level. But from an engine standpoint, these are two separate levels that you're playing in the same game, quote, level.
Combat teams on deck 7 and 8. Back to secondary defensive position.
I may get quiet a few times when I aim, so just bear with me, or attempt to aim. Like I said, the tutorials here can be like just straight up text right on the screen. And we don't really have too much choice here. We'll get a few moments of choice, but we're pretty much just running through a straight corridor. We're introduced to grenades here, but one thing I want to highlight is all of this learning is on flat ground. We'll get to a spot later in the game after we've learned almost everything where we have to fight an uphill battle. And this is sort of the start of what they start to do later in the games. Oh yeah, I remember there's energy shields in here. But later in the games they will start to
we go out and they come in.
Really hone in on the idea of uphill and downhill battles and these barricade battles that are intrinsic to first-person shooters. They'll start to hone in on the idea that downhill battles are easy at first and then uphill battles are harder. And this is really the start of it. You can really see them progress through this idea of game and level design as you go all the way through the different Halo games. But here, our intro is pretty flat. There's 60 shots in the assault rifle in Halo Combat Evolved. Oops. I thought that was an enemy. Notice the use of music and sort of a little bit of how quiet the game is compared to Halo Reach. I know I turn it down a little bit when we edit the videos and stuff, but if you can, turn up the volume and notice when the music stops or something like that, just notice how quiet the game is compared to a Halo Reach, where there's a multitude of Foley sounds that are going to the level, as opposed to this, where there's really not that much space for that many Foley sounds. There's just kind of a few of them, and they don't really want to change too many of them. Like, do you hear footsteps? Not really. You definitely don't hear different footsteps for different, you know, materials on the ground. When you're walking on plate in Reach, that sounds different than when you're walking on, oh my goodness. It sounds different than when you're walking on dirt in Reach. And this is really a new pattern in games, that space is better suited being saved for something else.
Personnel on decks 9 through 12. Report to evac stations now.
I think I went the wrong way here. We do have our first little bit of change here. There's like a little loop, but ultimately you end up having to go back around and going to the same way.
Covenant on the landing above us.
The reason it's important to have a feel of change, actually, before I talk about that, this is where we first are introduced to an uphill battle, right? They're on the landing above you, and you get a special audio notification of that, like you get a Cortana voice line and all that jazz. So it's a fairly important thing. It's something that they've designed into the game. Oops. Shot one of my brains.
Keep your head down. There's two of us in here now, remember?
Okay. Little voice notification for getting too low. But it's something they've designed into the game, so they give it a special little notification like, hey, you know, you're facing something a little more challenging. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Please don't judge me. So the reason change and illusion of choice is important in a game is because you are playing a narrative game, so it's a story-based game as the main character. And as a writer for that, it's really difficult to tell a story when you don't have access to the main character. But in a video game, you need people to be able to... The ship's leaving.
The light pods are launching.
In a video game, you're able to really control the character. That's one of the things that's enjoyable when you play them. So, how do you balance controlling the character to show a story and also giving the player freedom to feel like they're doing something awesome, they're doing something of their own volition, and so on and so forth? And that's why the illusion of choice is really important. And what I mean by illusion of choice is in a lot of these levels, particularly after the first one, you'll have multiple pathways to the same goal. So the player gets the idea, hey, I get to choose between these two pathways, and I'm making that choice. But ultimately, for the story writers, it does not affect anything. They still get to tell the story the way that they want to. I'm so lost in here. They still get to tell the story that they want to, but it doesn't take away from the fact that the player is getting to make choices and feel like their choices are important to the gameplay. Well, is this where I'm supposed to go? I think this is where I'm supposed to go.
We're too close. We need to find another route. Motion tracker shows all clear. Wait. We need to get to that door, but it's been...
So here's a little bit of a tutorial again.
The door's control mechanism is offline, but it's taken a lot of damage.
It's just very direct. This is very common for this era of game. Like if you played, you know, I don't know, any like PS2 era, Xbox, it's just very upfront with their tutorials. No assassin animation.
Combat teams, Sierra through Victor. Prepare for evac.
This is the guy.
It looks like the Covenant wanted to catch you.
Poor guy. Maybe another F in the comment section for that guy. That works. Totally meant to do that. Yep. Oh. Please, just ignore my aim. I'm not very good at it. I just like talking about games. Notice the fairly limited objects that they have for the level design here. We see different emissive maps of things. So, for example, those cylinders in the background, there's a blue and a red one, and they give off a little bit of light. That's an emissive map. It doesn't change the polygons of the object, so they can just make the one object and then change the color by an emissive map or a normal map to change the object just a little bit. So I think for the most part this level uses like 5-6 different main objects. Oh, that's right, beatdowns are not that good in this game. But they use those 5-6 main objects as most of the barricades for this whole first level. We see this square box a lot, we see the different color circles. Oh, that's right. We saved this dude only for him to die later.
Now would be a very good time to leave.
But this is the end of the first level. It's pretty straightforward because it's mostly a tutorial-esque level. But we get to go down onto the ring in the next episode.
We're gonna make it, aren't we, sir? I don't want to die out here.
You just stay right there and then die later. I promise, it'll be okay. I do like how this landing craft lands from a from an engineering standpoint. This is a moderately realistic landing procedure for a life pod, and I do like that.
Heads up, everyone! This is it. We're entering the ring's atmosphere in 5.
Using a heat shield to slow down like that, that's pretty realistic.
Sure you wouldn't rather take a seat?
You'll see SpaceX trying to do that as they go to Mars, whatever it's worth.
If I still had fingers,
and
they'd
we'll
be
find out
crossed.
if they all survive next week when we continue this. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know down below. As always, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. It really does help us out, and we'll see you next week.